Last of Us 2, more than meets the eye. Since the HBO Max show The Last of Us Season 2 is coming, I figured it would be a good idea to talk about The Last of Us series. The first game is easily my favorite game of all time, one of the best stories I've ever experienced in any medium. Something I realized while replaying it though, is how simple the story really is, which only makes it more beautiful. Brief rundown, even though we all know this, so very brief. After seeing the very beginning of the infection outbreak, in my opinion, the best game opening ever, cut to 20 years, our main character Joel is tasked with the mission to transport a little girl named Ellie, who isn't just the heart of the story, but could be the cure the world needs. As the story shifts and the characters grow together and interact with others, the seasons show not only a change in environment, but changes in the characters and how they feel towards each other. Beauty and simplicity. With games like God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West, or Elden Ring. In different ways, these games have many moving parts. So many things to pay attention to and cherish when playing for the first time or replaying. I've played the first Last of Us 6 times now, a game with only 2 main characters, no side missions, linear story progression, and repetitive gameplay. And yet, I believe that this last playthrough was the most special to me, because I finally understood what the story really is from my perspective. This truly is Joel's story. A man who lost everything, a father morphed into a smuggler with a quick trigger, finding himself again through his journey with Ellie. Throughout the story, they encounter characters like Sam and Henry, or Bill, or the cannibals, even Tommy, Joel's brother. These encounters represent losing yourself when you lose someone you love. Joel and Ellie see the effects this world has on people, morphing them into monsters, human or not. But this is Ellie's first time out of the society in Boston. She lived all her life. For Joel, this is only a reminder of what he has lost and what he has already morphed into. But as you progress and the seasons change, he opens his heart more and more towards Ellie, seeing her as something to protect, feeling as if it's a responsibility to show her that the world wasn't always like this, becoming himself again, and knowing what it feels like to not have anything to fight for, the emptiness of that. He chooses to protect what he loves above anything else, even if it's against Ellie's wishes. Joel sucks, but I love that. Joel is one of the most selfish characters in game history, but this game and life is all about perspective. Playing as him, all of his actions would come off badass and heroic, but stepping outside of his point of view, he sacrifices the world just so he can have a reason to keep going. Even if the Fireflies aren't who they say they are. If they would have weaponized a cure, I do not believe he saved Ellie's life for those reasons. And I don't think he did it for her. He couldn't lose something he cherished again, even though that meant taking away Ellie's choice. On my 5th playthrough is where I understood where my disconnect was before from the first to second game. All of this is why the ending of the game is so incredible, because seeing everything through Joel's eyes makes it feel as lying to Ellie is justified in that moment. He kept her alive for himself, only for her to experience more of this apocalyptic reality, which her death could have ended all, because he couldn't let her go. The death toll for Joel is far beyond what we see in the first game. The 20-year gap of time when he was with his brother Tommy, all the people you kill as him in the game, and if the Fireflies were telling the truth, and Ellie was a cure, everyone who died from infected in the 4-year gap from the first and second game is on Joel. But I'm done hating on my mans. Last of Us Part 2 does that enough. Or does it? Curing my bias. When I first played Last of Us Part 2, it was a very difficult playthrough. For obvious reasons, being so connected to Joel in the first game, but also loving Ellie as a character. She's the light in a very dark and bleak story in the first game. And as much as I judged Joel for doing what he did at the end, I also felt a sense of ownership and responsibility for these characters, and seeing Ellie in Part 2 become everything Joel was shedding during their journey in the first one was heartbreaking. Even on my 3rd playthrough, I still felt that way, but before that made me look at the game negatively, which one isn't fair to the creators and also to these characters I love. Stepping outside of myself and my bias towards the happiness I want for them, this is easily the worst zombie world possible, and Joel might be the worst character in the entire story morally. So Ellie's actions, while still empty and vain, are understandable. Her journey is revenge for a man who loved her to a fault, and sacrificed the world for her and him. And after seeing him die the way he did, she sacrifices everything to accomplish nothing. Great side characters like Dina and Jesse are there for her, wanting what she wants, but not at any cost. The standout in Ellie's side of the story is the love that her and Dina share for each other. One moment that stands out to me that I think encompasses their relationship is the beginning of Seattle Day 3. Before Ellie wakes up Dina, she sees her in pain, struggling in her sleep. Before she wakes her up, she stares for a moment and then wakes her. As soon as Dina sees Ellie, she smiles and Ellie says, "Hey babe, I need you to lock the door for us." This moment means a lot to me, even though it's small. Ellie sees the pain Dina is going through because she's pregnant and could choose to abandon this revenge crusade, but can't get herself to stop even though she sees herself morphing into something she's not. Dina sees Ellie and smiles because she woke up and saw the person she loves, but also didn't want to show her obvious suffering so she wouldn't be a burden to Ellie's journey. When it comes to this part of the story, I think my understanding of it comes from growing up, seeing the story as what it is rather than what I want it to be. I wanted a dad that would sacrifice for me, and I didn't get that, so I loved Joel for that. I want to find peace within myself from the people I've lost, either deceased or went different ways, but in my own experience, it's gotten worse before it gets better. This is Ellie's grieving process. And as much as it's hard to watch this fictional character who I love more than myself go through things worse than I have, I found understanding and objective truth by taking this journey with her, even if it's morbid and difficult. There's beauty in that. Abby. I like Abby, but I don't love her. Through my 3 playthroughs, I've gained an understanding and fondness for Abby that was certainly lacking my first time playing part 2. But I still think there are issues with her part of the story that are hard to connect to, but in certain parts I believe that it's purposeful. Where Ellie's story ends is where Abby's begins. That is the main juxtaposition between their journeys. After Abby gets the revenge she has been thirsting for, she still is haunted by nightmares, still in a cycle of grief and death. Her connection with Owen, my first time playing, did not hit for me, honestly. They both are not very likable, but stepping outside of myself and seeing why they are who they are, it makes sense and there's valid nuance. Owen and Abby are perfect for each other in this apocalyptic world, and maybe could have found peace together. But Abby's need to avenge her father exceeded her want for a better life. Owen sees the parts of himself that were influenced by Abby's dad, his nurturing nature, valuing beauty in small moments, and sees how Abby is pushing that part of herself away so she can become the weapon she has to accomplish her goal. The love Owen has for Abby makes her more likable to me, because you see a softer and more open side to her with him or the resistance she creates to block that part of herself. It's interesting to see. Lev is a great addition to the Last of Us world. His character brings up very subtle and impactful moments that question identity and youth. Abby very quickly embracing him and being the shoulder he needs is a very great thing to see for me. The highlight of her story, honestly. I think for me, Abby's story is important, but her as a character is still selfish or oblivious to her true impact on the people around her. But the side characters she has, like Lev and Owen, and even Manny in the beginning, which I believe if he had more to do with the story, that could have been the oomph the story needed for me personally. They all show a strength and vulnerability to her that makes her a very complex and intriguing character. I'm really excited to see how Season 2 handles the Abby story, because I do believe the disjointed way that the game goes about its story progression creates a disconnect with Abby's character. But the cool thing about the show is that it is not just the game, and that is my favorite part about the show. It chooses to go about telling the story in the same way, but showing you different moments that impact scenes later. And I hope that we get better moments with Abby and the side characters she has, like a Manny and a Owen, and even more stuff with Lev, to fully connect with her, even if she is the person who may have killed off your favorite character. The flaw in expectations. Bluntly, I didn't like The Last of Us Part 2 because it wasn't what I expected. What I've learned in time is that expectations can stop you from seeing the beauty in media like games, movies, shows, and moments in life. I've grown a lot because of the hardships that I've endured. It doesn't feel that way sometimes, but I know it is. Last of Us 2 shows the hardships someone goes through before they mature and overcome, and also shows the progression from darkness to light. I'm at a point in my life where I feel like I want to be closer to the light, but my darkness has a strong hold on me. Time to reflect and step outside of myself let me connect with Abby in that aspect especially. Not cherishing the good around you because of your traumas or counterproductive ways of coping is a way I relate to Ellie. But life is about growth and evolving your mind, really seeing and hearing the people around you, learning from perspective, and moving forward from tragedy. Part of me wishes I could have understood all of this when I was 18 playing the game for the first time, but I had to experience some more until I could see myself and the resistance I put up because this game killed one of my favorite characters ever. That's life. Even when it takes away something you love, it gives you something to walk away with, the memory and the love experienced. It's the small victories. Like it's been said many times, The Last of Us is not a story about zombies. It's about love, and how it changes you for the better and worse. But a deeper meaning to the story are the moments of wonder when walking through the museum, or the aquarium, or the giraffe scene in the first one. Moments of silence and clarity and chaos. To me, these represent the small victories in life. We go about our day consumed by our jobs and social media. We get so lost in our heads and our responsibilities, we don't stop and just breathe, accepting things we can't change, but being thankful to see another day, to see the beautiful sky, and under it the people we love, many or few. It shouldn't take an apocalypse to cherish these moments. I promise you it's easier said than done, but if there's anything you take from this review, brain dump, analysis, whatever, please take this. You can get swept in the tragedy and madness of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. But you also can choose to fight for your joy, to not let the expectations we create limit our possible experiences, to cherish our beating hearts, the air we breathe, and the ones we say we love, because not everyone has that. If you're like me, lost and unsure of if you can keep going, take it one day at a time. Go out and see something, chase your purpose, and remember these 3 words: endure and survive. Thank you for watching.